Gravity is a pact I made with the Earth long before the stars began to bleed into the mountain peaks of IGA. To most, the vertical rise of the Kasumi Cliffs is a wall of death, but to those born in the shadows of the Mistcutter clan, it is a sanctuary. My name is Isari, and tonight, the silence of the night is being hunted by the unblinking eyes of the heavens. They arrived 3 moons ago, not as men but as falling shards of obsidian that burrowed into the sacred groves. They do not sleep, they do not tire, and they possess eyes that see the heat of a human heart through 10 inches of solid oak. They are the Sky-Sentinels, and they have come to map the shadows of the world until there is nowhere left for a ninja to breathe. The air is thick with the scent of wet pine and the sharp, unnatural tang of ozone. Above me, the forest canopy is no longer just leaves and branches. It is a grid of lethal geometry. The Sky-Sentinel, a gargantuan, dragonfly-shaped horror of black glass and humming violet light, drifts through the cedar boughs with a sound like 1,000 cicadas screaming in unison. Its 6 red sensors rotate in independent orbits, stitching the darkness together with thin, blood-colored lasers. Every time a beam touches a leaf, the plant withers instantly, its life force scanned and discarded. I shift my weight. My claw grips, serrated iron hooks strapped to my palms and soles, bite deep into the mossy granite. I do not move with the rhythm of a person, I move with the rhythm of the wind. I wait for the sentinel to rotate its primary iris away from my position. 3, 2, 1. I launch myself from the cliff. I am not falling, I am a projectile of dark indigo silk. My ghost cape flutters behind me, its weighted hem ensuring I stay silent as I descend 40 feet into the ferns. I hit the ground in a crouch, my fingers already dipping into the pouch at my waist. I pull out a Stardust-Bomb, a ceramic sphere filled with the pulverized remains of an alien craft that crashed in the lowlands. We discovered that when this blue dust meets the air, it creates a localized cloud of interference that blinds the Starspawn sensors. A swarm of glass wasps, small fist-sized drones that act as the Sentinel scouts, veers toward my position. I can hear the high-pitched whine of their tiny rotors. They have found the heat of my body. Kuma no Jutsu, I whisper, the words barely a vibration in my throat. I hurl the bomb. It shatters against a cedar trunk, and a cloud of iridescent blue gas erupts, swirling in the damp air. The glass wasps fly directly into the mist and immediately lose their synchronization. They collide with one another, their red sensors flashing white as their internal logic loops shatter. They fall to the forest floor like dead beetles, their glass wings snapping against the roots. But the Sky-Sentinel is not so easily fooled. The dragonfly machine pivots mid-air, its primary violet core glowing with a sudden, violent intensity. It knows its children have been silenced. It unleashes a pulse scan, a wave of purple light that ripples through the forest, turning the mist into glowing steam. I sprint. I am a blur of motion through the undergrowth. I do not run in a straight line. I use the serpent path, weaving between the trees to keep the thickest trunks between my spine and the sentinel's core. Behind me, the purple wave hits a massive oak and the tree detonates. Not into fire, but into shards of gray ash. The machine is not burning the forest, it is dematerializing it. I reach the edge of a deep ravine. Below me, a waterfall roars, its white spray catching the unnatural glow of the sky. I don't hesitate. I leap onto a thick bamboo stalk, using the flexibility of the plant to catapult myself upward, toward the sentinel's underbelly. Tonight the shadow bites back, I growl. As I reach the apex of my jump, I draw the void needles, long thin spikes of meteor iron coated in a viscous, emerald poison we brewed from the alien's own cooling fluid. If our theory is correct, this fluid is the lifeblood of their machines. To them it is fuel, to their internal processors, it is a corrosive virus. I throw 3 needles in a single, fluid motion. They are not aimed at the armor, but at the exhaust vents, the 6 pulsing apertures on the sentinel's side that regulate its gravitational lift. The needles find their mark. The effect is instantaneous. The violet light in the machine's core flickers and turns a sickly, translucent green. The high-pitched whine of its engines changes to a guttural, grinding roar. The Sky-Sentinel begins to wobble, its 6 wings flapping out of sync, the black glass of its hull cracking as the emerald toxin eats through the internal circuitry. The machine let out a sound that felt like a needle being driven into my brain, a digital shriek of agony. It began to fire its lasers erratically, cutting through the forest in wild, jagged lines. I dived behind a moss-covered boulder as a red beam vaporized the ferns inches from my head. Now, the heart. I pull out my final weapon, the Black Sun Charge. It is a mass of unstable black powder mixed with a shard of a star core we scavenged from the Kyoto ruins. I sprint toward the dying sentinel, which is now dragging itself through the mud, its wings shattered. It sees me. Its primary iris turns a deep, malevolent red, and it begins to charge a final lethal beam. I don't wait for the light. I slide beneath the machine's primary hull, the heat of its engine singeing my mask. I jam the black sun charge into the central violet core, the glowing liquid energy bubbling around my gloved hand. I trigger the fuse with a flick of my wrist and roll away, throwing myself over the edge of the ravine. The explosion is not orange and black like the fires of men. It is a soundless, terrifying expansion of white and violet pressure. The Sky-Sentinel is consumed from the inside out, its obsidian glass hull turning into a cloud of fine black sand that covers the ravine like a shroud. The shockwave hits me mid-fall, slamming me into the cold water of the pool below. I sink into the dark, the roar of the waterfall drowning out the final, dying hum of the drone. Minutes later, I pull myself onto the muddy bank. My armor is shredded, my lungs are burning, and my left shoulder is cold with the touch of alien ichor. I look up at the sky. Through the gaps in the cedar canopy, I can see the great vessels hovering over the distant mountains. They are still there, silent and infinite. But here, in the shadows of IGA, the air is clean. The dragonfly is dead. I look at my hands. The void needles are gone, but the poison has left a faint, emerald stain on my fingertips. We are no longer just the hidden warriors of a feudal lord. We are the immune system of a dying world, the shadows that have learned to hunt the stars. I pick up a single black shard from the ground, a piece of the Sentinel's hull. It is cold, inert, and heavy. I tuck it into my belt as a trophy for the clan elders. I do not celebrate. I do not linger. I melt back into the trees, my footsteps leaving no mark on the moss, my breath becoming one with the mist. The forest has reclaimed its silence. The red eyes have been extinguished, and the night belongs once more to the things that move without light. I head toward the hidden village, a ghost returning to the soil, while the stars above watch the dark woods with a new, flickering uncertainty. The water of the ravine flows on, washing the blue dust into the deep. The trees stand tall, their roots drinking the cold rain. The world is a place of iron and wood, and for tonight the wood has held. I am Isari of the Mist Cutter, and as long as there is a shadow to hide in, the sky will find no peace in the mountains of IGA. The night is long and the blade is sharp. The silence remains the only true master of the province. I vanish into the dark, and the forest is whole again.